For a few minutes about this week's again, I guess I kind of went before the video. So this is Dr. Starner, and I'm here to talk to you about this week's activities. This week you'll be learning about human development and how to learn. How do we learn? We learn, you probably say, I learn by reading a book. But no, not necessarily. I learn by doing other things. People actually teach me how to learn, and you'd be surprised how you've been trained to learn certain things. There's classical and there is operant conditioning and learning. Two different ways, that we learn. Now, with classical conditioning, you are given an association and you learn by associating a certain topic or behavior with something else. Like Pavlov with his dog. He wanted the dog to be able to learn to, salivate whenever he heard the bell. So he'd give him meat, he would salivate, he'd ring the bell. Give him meat, he would salivate, he'd ring the bell. Then he would just ring the bell and the dog would still salivate even though there wasn't meat there. That's classical conditioning. Operant conditioning has to do with reinforcements. Operant conditioning, you learn by rewards. Like when you're potty training a child, you give them a M&M or a marshmallow or a sticker. And every time they use the bathroom. And eventually, though, you don't have to do that anymore because they actually have learned how to use it on their own. So that's operant conditioning. There's a really good video on there about classic operant conditioning on the Big Bang Theory. So please look at it. It's really good. Also, you're learning about human development. Human development is who you are. How you were formed in your mom's womb, the difference, when does conception actually occur? There's a great debate going on about when conception or life actually begins. Some people say it begins when they're born. Some people say it begins when the heart starts beating. Others say it begins when the egg is implanted into the uterus. There's a lot of debate about it. So where do you fit in that? While you're studying, try to come up with an argument for your own belief system. Also, most of you probably have a biblical worldview, and so that we believe that in conception begins when the egg is fertilized. Life begins when the egg is fertilized. So think about it. Another big debate in human development is whether or not we are formed by nature or DNA or nurture or environment, and that's a big debate about our personality and how we developed, because there's a lot of research that shows children who are mistreated more than likely will become a sociopath when they grow up. So it's interesting to note that nurture had a lot to do with that, but we really don't think it was in their DNA, but maybe it was something in their environment. And what's another interesting fact about that is that sometimes we can actually change our DNA through our environment. When certain things have happened over time, our DNA will actually change or adapt to the environment. So then that's what we're going to pass on into the next generation. Not our original genes, but our adaptive genes, our adaptive DNA. And that's why we have so many different cultures in the world also. When God made us, he made Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had, Cain and Abel. Then there was Seth. And then from Seth came all the rest of the human beings in the world. And then we had Noah. And Noah, all the people were killed in the flood. And the only person left was Noah and his 3 sons. So his 3 sons repopulated the whole world. They all had the same dad. So how come we all look different? Because our DNA has adapted to the environment that we lived in. At the Tower of Babel, God confused the languages. So, Shem went one way with people who understood him. Ham went somewhere else with people who understood him. Japheth went somewhere else. And they all understood each other. Well, they went to different parts of the world. They didn't just stay right there. And, some people, lived in Europe. Other people were in Africa. Other people were in, North and South America. So there used to be something called, I think it was the Bering Straits that went from Europe to Canada, North America. And so people walked over. So it's pretty interesting how we've all developed and we've changed. So our DNA has adapted. So, those people stayed in Europe are lighter skin, lighter hair. They're more used to the cold. They have smaller nasal passages so that, so much air, cold air won't get in there. It's easier to breathe. And then you look at the people who went to Africa and their hair texture changed. It became thicker and porouser to hold in the fluid or the moisture, so that they could survive in that heat, dark temperature. Also, their skin got darker so that they were able to deal with the heat, and that people deals better with heat than they do with cold. So our bodies over time have adapted to our environment, and this happens over and over again. Although typically we're pretty much set in where we look now. We all live in a similar environment, but anytime you have to go to an environment that's different than what you're used to, your body will adapt to that environment so that you can survive. Darwin talked about the survival of the fittest, but we can talk about God's survival plan for us. He has developed our bodies in a way to adapt to whatever is going on. So human development is about how we grow, how we change, how we adapt, everything that's going on in our lives. So now, so human development is what you can look at this week. And it's not necessarily from a big biblical perspective. That's why I want to give you one. And learning too. We can learn to follow God or not. There's a really good discussion board that talks about that. So I need you to make sure you read that and think about it. And the discussion board is really how you see the material that we're talking about this week, and putting it into your own words, and sharing with your classmates. And then when you respond to them, you're either respectfully agreeing or disagreeing. Because you're not going to agree with everybody. And that's okay. It's okay not to agree. But we have to still be respectful. So please, we have live chat right now. While I'm making this video, I also have live chat. And this is the first time we've had people join. So please join. It's going to be on Tuesdays from 4 to 6. And I want you to come. If you have any questions, you just want to talk, please come. And we will have a good time together. So I hope you have had a great weekend. You got some rest, but hopefully you got your work done too. I was just looking at things and starting to grade them. I was just reading through some of the extra credit video papers you put out. Very interesting. It seemed like the cartoon was a big hit. This week, I think The Big Bang Theory is going to be the big hit. There's always something that's really, draws people in. I like the cartoon because I figure it teaches you in a way that's easier to understand, because sometimes all of this information is just overwhelming. So watch the videos. Try to get a better understanding of the topic and the materials. And please feel free, go to YouTube, put in the topic or put in a question, and let it bring a video about whatever your interest is. There's a lot of interesting videos there. So do it, enjoy. I will try to be back next week. I hope this video works. I've tried to upload videos and people said they couldn't see them. I was like, oh no. I'm working on it. So you have a blessed week. And remember, God answers prayers. Even when we don't necessarily understand everything that's going on, God is in control. So remember that, and that He will be with you. I hope you like that little surfer guy at the bottom of the video and the girl on her little motorbike. And I'm going to try to bring you video from very interesting places each week. You have a blessed day. Bye.